Toastmaster Chooks?
Sorry, this doesn't happen often. Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Olem. Greetings, Toastmasters, guests. Lovely to see all the lovely faces and hear our exciting voices once again. It is said that better is the end of a thing than the beginning. It has taken great assiduity for Toastmaster Essie to get to the point which she is at today, giving us her final speech on the part called visionary communication, or on the pathway called visionary communication. This journey has taken quite a few months, and she's traveled it at different paces at different times. All that we'll be expecting to hear from her today is a reflection of what the journey has been like, getting to this point, the end of a path, that pathway called visionary communication. She might share a few stories of the journey, just general learnings that she's taken from it. That's the expectation today. And that speech will last for 10 to 12 minutes for the benefit of our timer, 10 to 12 minutes. I will now hand this back to our Toastmaster of the day to make the formal introductions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Chooks. And so to our first speech from Toastmaster Essay, titled Discipline Creativity. Toastmaster Essay, Discipline Creativity. Discipline Creativity, Toastmaster Essay. The virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. The first time I attended a Toastmaster meeting, I was sure I would never come back. I erroneously assumed that this was not worth my time. I should have just gone home. During that meeting, the only thought that kept echoing in my head was, I beg, nobody should call my name, nobody should call my name, nobody should call my name. And then by the time they got to evaluation, my assiduity was in full gear. I was critical and nitpicking everything that was happening. That was in September 2019, over 3 years ago. I would later move from being a guest, and by April 2020, a registered paying member of Toastmasters. Me, Essay, happy to provide and pay to participate in Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Toastmaster Essay Ogene Okerika, and I am so delighted to share my reflections on successfully completing my first Toastmasters pathway. There's a reason I'm saying my first Toastmasters pathway. When you're a writer, reprogramming yourself can be a very fascinating experience because you're someone who always documents. When you look back, you can easily see your changes across time. You look at your notes and you see the beautiful growth of your creativity. In the book, Discipline Equals Freedom, Jocko Willink says that discipline is the core principle that overcomes laziness, lethargy, and excuses. And one question that you will get as you move through your life, especially if you're in the Toastmaster space, is what inspires you? What inspires you? For me, Essay, I'm inspired by discipline creativity. The way you are able to express yourself repeatedly over and over again in a way that glorifies you, that shows excellence. In the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, he talks about how the choices we make are greatly influenced by our abilities and our habits, and that there's a personal responsibility we all have to identify and manage our habits. I remember when I had to give my level 1 icebreaker speech. I and my village people, as we say in Nigerian parlance, had a battle. I was crippled with anxiety and worry. I kept saying, nobody will beat you if you don't do this thing. Should you do it? Should you not do it? For days and weeks, I kept going back and forth, back and forth. And I remember after giving that speech that I had said something, that one of the things I was looking forward to was me learning how to speak more slowly and clearly, to school my features during conversations, because it is very easy for me to say, what's that one even saying? And then to know how to engage with diverse people. And most importantly, how to receive criticism. I have now learned all that, to be honest. But even better, guess what? I have learned how to lead, how to serve, and how to stay disciplined. In the past 2 years since I've been fully immersed in Toastmasters, Apart from when I was under the weather or during the holidays, I have attended at least one Toastmaster meeting every week where I have actively played a role or spoke. And I have tried to incorporate things I learned in these meetings. When I look back at my notes, I see that I have given over 20 speeches, attended over 100 meetings, a full century of meetings, and I have won best table topics over a dozen times. I've also been opportune to participate in an international debate. And that was one thing that taught me how to be willing to listen to opinions I may not agree with, how to learn how to hold true arguments and actually pick ideologies I understand, how to be flexible in understanding opinions I do not support. Renowned author and entrepreneur Robert Kiyosaki says that failure is the path of success and that people who avoid failure also avoid success. The Toastmaster pathway provides an educational curriculum that will transform you, and it teaches you how to fail forward. There's many things I have loved in Toastmasters, but specifically, what I have seen in my growth is how I give speeches, how I participate in the table topic session, how I serve as a role player, how I explore mentorship, and how I understand myself. I look with fondness at speeches I have given, where I've learned to understand myself and extol the virtues of things I like cultural organizations like the Center for Memories and programs like the Imagination Library that I love. And then there's table topics that has granted me beautiful glimpses into people that I might never have known. Like the fact that Akwa Ibom culture welcomes marriage offers with 8-course meals. Yes, so maybe you should go and follow an Akwa Ibom person today. And do you know that there is a recipe worth trying with fried okra? Or that the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down, is actually from history, from the time of Vikings. Or the fact that Toastmaster Daramola Fumi has 2 wedding dates. And then there's me participating and winning in table topic session. I have won more times than I can count. Me, essay, that at the beginning used to hope that nobody should pick me or call my name. I now raise my hand anytime it's table topic session. Like former South African president and renowned political activist Nelson Mandela says, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. I have triumphed with giving speeches, with giving table topics, and then there's serving as a role player. My technical skills, top notch. I have learned how to use visual cues, how to follow recommended Toastmaster scripts when playing a role, how to navigate Basecamp that equipped me with that discipline in how I structure speeches and even give feedback. And I also now moonlight as a graphic designer because I have learned how to design newsletters, how to design posters for meeting flyers, and even PowerPoint presentations when I speak to diverse audience. And then there's contesting. I have contested at the table topic session, international speech and evaluation contest. I participated at the club level in 2020 and I got disqualified. I exceeded the time. But there was something the president, as I then Toastmaster Folusha Lamina said, Essay, there's nothing like professor of Toastmasters. You will keep growing. And guess what? By 2021, I have gotten up to the area level where I took second. I still said, you know what? I am going to keep contesting. And today, this is 2020, and I am a division champion. Toastmasters also exposed me in this pathway to the beauty in mentoring. The first time I played a role, it was the role of accountant. I was listening because I wanted to get everybody. Imagine my outrage when Toastmaster Chuks Wambwese had no single filler word. It got my competitive juices flowing. Does he have 2 heads? Me, I want to be like that. I will be the only one. And I remember the first time I attended an All City Speakers Club meeting. Toastmaster Franca Eboma was a grammarian. She spoke so calmly and eloquently, and her grammarian report, it made me want to give feedback like that. Toastmaster is beautiful with mentoring because it gives you people to admire, people who you want to strive to be like. And even better, it gives you opportunity to become a mentor. Today, I currently mentor 2 Toastmasters in the Total JV Club. And then there's understanding myself. Yes, I now know how to give speeches and participate in table topics, and I understand the allure of mentoring. But even better, I have now understood myself. By the time I was going through my level 2 pathway, I learned about my leadership style, that I am very innovative when I deal with problems, like my favorite fictional lawyer, Annalise Keaton. But I'm also a coach. I know how to provide the required enthusiasm when things need to get done. I also learned about how I communicate. Interestingly, I ranked high as an initiating communicator and analytical communicator. Do you know what that means? I'm the kind of person that if you want to tell me something, come with stories, gist and explain before you tell me what you need. But that does not mean you're just bringing story. Also bring data and facts. But guess what? When I talk to people, I'm very direct. I am, Tim, do you know what? Don't talk, just talk to me direct. Don't go through the corners. But it's interesting, if not for Toastmasters, I would not have known this about how I lead and how I communicate. And it's now taught me how to tailor both my communication and leadership styles to suit different situations. And outside of Toastmasters, it has impacted my life in beautiful ways. The first time two of my friends who run a podcast asked me to come and feature as a guest, I immediately say, no, please, I cannot disgrace myself. By the next time they have asked, I said yes. And it remains one of the best things I ever did. One of my favorite friends who has known me for over a decade had posted on his WhatsApp status after listening to the podcast, Omo, I say smart, like genius level. And all thanks to Toastmasters, her disdain at other people's foolishness does not show again. Her disdain does not show again. Toastmaster had taught me not just how to school my futures, but how to communicate. And it also provides a form of therapy for me. No matter what is happening in my life, I know that there's always going to be a structure in every Toastmaster meeting I go to. Every meeting is somehow the same and somehow not the same. I have gained so much knowledge, expertise, and confidence in how I communicate with people. The impact on my life, I now know to pause more, to listen better, and the idea of practicing, meaning I'm progressing. But there's one of my favorite cartoons that was of two people chatting, and the person, one asks the other, oh, what do you do? The other person goes, I work as a cashier at Walmart. And the first person says, no, that's what you do for money. What do you do for people? Toastmasters teaches you how to help and serve people. One of my favorite verses from the Bible is from the book of Corinthians, and it talks about how love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, and it is not proud. Toastmasters embodies that love beautifully. I have close friends that I met through Toastmasters organization. I have friends in Seychelles, Total, all city speakers. I have friends in West Africa, in Namibia, Kenya, and South Africa, all from Toastmasters. Toastmasters has also taught me to dream big and wide. Former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt says that the future belongs to those of us who believe in the beauty of their dreams. If you asked me 2 years ago what my dream was, I would say, I want to be a professional enjoyment baby girl. I just want to relax and be taken care of. But by the time I had gone through my level 5 in the pathway, I have come to identify that one of my personal visions is building an imagination library in Nigeria, where young readers have access to books that teach them empathy. So Toastmasters Pathway has taught me to expand my dreams, to be an enjoyment baby girl while building a nation of leaders. I am so much more better in my willingness to serve. But this is not the last bus stop for me, no. I still have plans to win at the district level and also serve at the district level. I hope to write for the international magazine someday, and most importantly, to attain the highest ranking in Toastmasters community, becoming a distinguished Toastmasters. Friedrich Nietzsche, a renowned philosopher, says that one repays a teacher badly if one remains only a pupil. So I also hope that I'm going to be able to mentor others. If you are thinking of joining Toastmasters, whether you're already registered or a guest, I encourage you to move on your pathway. When things don't go as planned, Toastmasters will teach you how to be like a duck, calm above, even if you're paddling below. To sum up, Toastmasters and guests, this journey has been an invaluable lesson in staying disciplined. Jose Mourinho, one of the most successful managers in the history of professional football, during a campaign says that in life, you need confidence, strategy, and patience to succeed. And most importantly, you need the right team behind you. Toastmasters gives you the right team. The curriculum will transform you and give you a roadmap to become a better version of yourself. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a renowned author, says that we can make changes. We can try and craft small slices of the life you want. When you go through the Toastmasters curriculum, you would craft a better life for yourself. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for Toastmaster SA. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That just sounded like listening to the entire thing that is on my pathway from the beginning to the end, and I know what to look forward to. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Essay, for that beautiful speech. And now I would be calling on the second speaker, Toastmaster Nelson. But before I do that, I would want to introduce to us his evaluator, who is Toastmaster Uche. Toastmaster Uche will be giving us the profile of Toastmaster Nelson's speech, and he'll be telling us what the expectation for that speech is. Over to you, Toastmaster Uche. The virtual lectern is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Toastmaster Olem. I would be introducing the speaker. So our next speaker is Toastmaster Dr. Nelson Ayodele, ACG ALB. Can you beat that? He's a member of 2 Toastmasters Club, BSN, and 2000 Trainers Toastmasters Club. He joined BSN Club in 2017, where he was VP, and he was also chartered president of 2000 Trainers Club in 2018-2019. He was area director 2020 to 2021. Currently, he is the Division K Programs Quality Director. And that's not all. In 2018, he won the division's humorous speaking. He was a champion for the division humorous speaking contest. In daytime, he works as an educational consultant. He is a motivational speaker, as you can imagine, and a leadership coach. He loves reading, teaching, listening to traditional African music, dancing, traveling, and lover of football, who passionately supports Nigerian Super Eagles and current European League champion Chelsea Football Club. His favorite quote is, "You will be the same person now and in 5 years, except for 2 things, the books you read and the people you meet." And this quote was by Jim Rohn, an American business philosopher. Toastmaster Nelson Ayodele, also known as DNA, will be giving his first speech on level 2 in the presentation mastery pathway. The purpose of the project is for Toastmaster DNA to learn about different communication styles and identify his or his primary style. Today, he will be sharing the impact of that style on others. This speech is not a report on the content of the project, understand your communication style, but how he has used it to impact others. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax as you listen to Toastmaster Nelson. But first, I'll hand it to Toastmaster Olem to do the formal introduction.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Uche. Toastmaster Nelson will be delivering a speech titled Understanding My Communication Style. Toastmaster Nelson, Understanding My Communication Style. Understanding My Communication Style, Toastmaster Nelson. The virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you most graciously, our affable and amiable Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Roland. Fellow Toastmasters and our esteemed guests, I will be talking about my communication style. And for me to get to know what my communication style is all about, I had to undertake a questionnaire during this project. And by the time I answered all the questions, I was amazed when it was revealed to me that I am of the initiating style of communication. There are actually 4 types of communication: the initiating, the supportive, the analytical, and the direct. Before I did the questionnaire, I knew that I could talk, but I never knew that there is anything like the communication style. And that jolted me, because I once read that at the entrance of the Apollo's temple in Delphi in ancient Greece, there's an inscription there that says, "Man, know thyself." I was jolted because I was speaking, but I didn't really know what type of speaker I was or what my style of speaking was all about. Thank God for the Toastmasters Pathway program that made me to understudy the different communication style and then to narrow down to what is my own primary communication style. I undertook this project with assiduity because I know, going by what Gerald Ford once said, that nothing in life is more important than the ability to communicate effectively. And you know that when you talk about effective communication, you'll be talking about you sending out messages that will easily be decoded by the receivers of the message. This is the basic definition of communication. And the channel through which you pass this message now happens to be your style. The channel or the medium happens to be your style. And that is why it is very important that you must understand your audience. And whenever you have your audience, you must be cautious. You must be conscious of the style by which you will communicate with them. Because if there is no alignment between the other person that you're speaking to or the other group you're speaking to, the communication may not be effective. Let me just take us through my own style of communication, which is the initiating type of communication. It's interesting to me that my nature as a gregarious and social person determined the style of my speaking, because I'm a very relational person. I love to make friends everywhere I go. I love to meet people, and I love to initiate conversation. I'm not someone that will get to a place and will want to hide in a corner. Most times I'm someone who will get into a place and walk around the place as if I own the place, as if I've always been part of the place. That is my nature. And I am not also docile in any way when it comes to initiating conversation. I can say sometimes that I'm very bold. I can walk up to anyone and initiate a conversation. So this nature of mine actually characterized my style of speaking. And by the time I did the analysis and a self-study, I found out that in most cases, I can be said to be assertive. In fact, sometimes I can be said to talk too much, because I consciously these days, with the training of those masters, have to train myself to listen as much as I speak. Because before now, I will want to dominate a conversation by probably sharing as much as I have to share and not allowing the other party to talk. This essentially is the characteristics of the initiating conversational style. The other style which I also have exhibited some of the traits, especially the closest one, is the supportive communication style. The supportive is the one where you want to help as much as possible the other persons that you are speaking to understand him, and then for them to understand you. And it is a style that is very close to initiating. The only difference is that the supportive style gives more room for the other party to express themselves more than the initiator. And then you have the direct style of communication, which Toastmaster Essay talked about, being a leader using that style. just go straight and direct to the point. And then lastly, you have the analytical. The analytical one is usually used more by scientists or by analysts, those who deals with facts and figures. They just want you to go straight to the point. No storytelling, no beating about the bush, no tongue twisting words and all that. Looking at all these other styles, I found out that I am still of the initiating style. I have a little of the supportive style and just a few of the analytical, and I am not direct in any way. When I look at my score, when I did the questionnaire, I had 7 points as an initiator, 4 points as supportive, 1 in analytical, and 0 in direct. This style has helped me greatly in all my undertakings. In every leadership role that I've played, I've found out that my communication style has always helped me to achieve the aim of my communication with my various constituencies. And I want to say that I am really, really glad to have undertaken this path, which is presentation mastery, and which is making me get better and better every day. And I believe that I am still a project under construction. And I believe that at the end of my journey on this path, I will be classified as one of those who are as good as Toastmaster SA, Toastmaster Uche, and I can rub shoulders with Toastmaster Chooks and Co. And then I can say, yes, I have arrived. Though no one ever arrives in Toastmaster, the journey is an endless one. The Toastmaster of the day.
A round of applause there for Toastmaster Nelson. Great speech, great delivery. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. And so next on our agenda is the last speech from Toastmaster Olem, which is myself, by the way. Toastmaster Olem will be evaluated by Toastmaster SA, and I'll be handing over to Toastmaster SA to introduce the speech profile and tell us what my speech expectation is for today. Over to you, Toastmaster SA. The virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Thank you, Toastmaster Olem. Please confirm you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So this is Toastmaster Olem's speech on the Visionary Communication Pathway. This is her third project in level 2, and it's a speech titled A Protege Once Upon a Time. This is going to be a speech where she clearly defines how Toastmasters envisions mentoring, and she's going to share with us some aspects of her experience as a protege. I look forward to listening to Toastmaster Olem. So since you're the Toastmaster of the day, I think I can just steer over to you and say, Toastmaster Olem, the virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster SA. Have you ever been in uncharted waters where you were totally clueless about where to begin and in what direction to head? I'll give you a minute. If your response was a yes, then you were just like me, a protege once upon a time. Moving from a career where all I knew was sandstones, siltstones, and schist, to an area of specialization that was just talking about health hazards such as noise, benzene, and Legionella, I knew that I was in uncharted waters and I needed support and guidance to help me achieve my goal of becoming a licensed industrial hygienist. This is where my relationship with my mentor, Obiajulu Menkiti, began. Mentoring, according to Toastmasters, is a process where an experienced person provides guidance and support for a protege to help them achieve their goals. It is usually long-term, and this is different from coaching, where the coach is experienced. However, the target here is to achieve one goal and usually in a shorter period of time. I was privileged to have Obi as my coach and also a mentor. When I think back to the qualities of what a successful mentor should be, according to the Toastmasters guide, I can't help but remember Obi Ajulu Menkiti. He's experienced and knowledgeable. Obi is a licensed and chartered industrial hygienist who knows his onions. I remember him sharing personal experiences with me, especially the first time I had to go to the field unsupervised. I was nervous. I was freaking out because I didn't know what to do or what to expect. And Obi looks at me and says, Olem, calm down. Everything will be fine. And then he gave me a few tips and guidelines that helped him in his time. And if you ask me, did it work? Oh, yeah, it did. And that helped me go through that particular challenge. And so this particular scenario reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by a leadership coach and a world-renowned storyteller, J. Lauren Norris, where he said, if you're going to see somewhere and you cannot see it, ask someone who has been there before. In our local parlance, we would say, follow who know road. It gets why. Secondly, I observed that in all his dealings with me, Obi used wisdom. And so, which means every time I went to him to ask for something or information, he knew not to give me too much or too little. He just gave me what was right. Initially, I was wondering why he was that way. And then I stumbled upon another quote by an English essayist and fiction writer that says, spoon feeding in the long run leaves us with nothing but the knowledge of the shape of the spoon. When I got this, it then dawned on me that the reason Obi perhaps wasn't giving me all of that was because he didn't want to make me in his own image. He wanted me to explore and to learn things and to go look for things my way so I could create my own path with his guidance. Obi was always positive and supportive. I can't count the number of times I had gone to him complaining and ranting about something that wasn't working right. And he would listen to me patiently. Sometimes I get, these things happen, but perhaps you should look at it from this perspective. Other times I get, can I see the ideas you have on the table? And can we look at why this isn't working in the first place? He would give me feedback about what he likes about what I have told him, and then nudge me in the direction of what he thinks would help me overcome this particular challenge. Obi was always respectful and caring. And I say this because we're two people with extreme personalities. He likes things plain and simple. I like things colorful and quirky. If you've ever been in this position, you would understand that, especially with designs, you would understand that we would never almost see eye to eye. But what did he do? When Obi gives me feedback about something I present to him, it's always tailored feedback around the things that I like and I can relate with, because he knew that despite our differences, we connected on the ground of what, on the grounds of discipline, on the grounds of detailing, and on the grounds of perfection. And so Obi would use things like my volleyball court, for instance. In fact, I remember an instance where I had to go to the field and he gave me stuff to do. I came back with the wrong numbers. And Obi said, Olem, close your eyes and visualize your volleyball court. I was so excited. And he said, think about yourself carrying a sound level meter for noise measurement and walking around that court and taking measurements at 3 meters each. That image stuck. And that was something I took away from that. What am I trying to say? As much as feedback is important, feedback without respect almost means nothing. And this brings to mind a quote by an English poet and philosopher, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which says that advice is like snow. The softer it falls, the longer it dwells upon, and the deeper it sinks into the mind. Lastly, Obi was committed and very dependable. He was at every first event I had, every first presentation. He would sit with me for my dry runs and support me through all of this. As a protege, what did I have to do? I had to learn to reach out when I had questions. I had to learn to take feedback. I had to learn that not all my ideas are good ideas and that new ideas and suggestions should be most welcome. I had to learn to respect my mentor's time and boundaries. I had to learn that my self-development and growth was my responsibility and not his entirely. And so he didn't have to do the chasing. Right now, as a seasoned, confident, and competent industrial hygienist, I do have a few proteges myself. And the things I tell them when I engage them for the first time is that mentoring is a brain to pick. It's an ear to listen and a push in the right direction. And so as a protege, I expect you to be available and be willing to be mentored. I would like to leave you with these final words of mine. Despite the fact that I was the one being mentored, I knew that my mentor benefited from the mentoring process. And this is so aptly captured by a quote from Phil Collins, the English musician and songwriter, where he says, "In learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you would learn." And how this played out at my workplace was just so incredible. I had gone out to the field to look out for something that was normal. I came back with something that didn't seem right, and I went to Obi and I said, "This is what I got." At this point, even Obi was clueless. And so what did we do? We said, let's go research on our own, and then we come back and have a conversation. That sparked up new ideas and gave us a new perspective to how we view things. I was very certain that Obi had learned a thing or two from me, even though I was his protege. So I would say to you, who are you mentoring today? And who do you want to mentor you? Go after your goals and make sure that you get it. Thank you. And thank you for listening. I can't hand over to myself.
Round of applause for Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Shubret, and before she then takes the virtual lectern once again. Olem, are you okay to come back? Thank you so much for this
I'm
wonderful.
awesome.
Okay, good.
I'm awesome. Thank you
That's
so very much, Toastmaster Uche. Thank you so very much. So now we come to the fun part of the Toastmasters meeting. And this is where everybody gets to enjoy the show. So we're getting into the table topics section that will be anchored by the table topics master, Toastmaster Murphy. In this section, I expect